especially 10 minutes.
Crossing county lines just to make my name in the city. Took everything, put it on the line, cause I never break or back down. One shot is do or die.
Welcome to the bottom of the bottom, me and Sid Solomon. If I saw him and I had to get him, yeah, I finally got him. Corner boost to mix up the solution. I am such a problem, crazy goonie, gone up that pollution with a group of goblins, super choppers, and they hoot and holler when we super dollars, losing partners. But if you started, we gon' finish it. Welcome to the wild side. You know what the business is.
I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm a boss, I'm a I am a king on the throne and I'm running the kingdom with all my ability, using my strength and agility. Money.
You make me feel so good. The music is so cool.
Put your hands up, everybody knows that. Don't hold back, got you on go jack. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Party on replay, party on replay.
Welcome to the bottom of the bottom, me and Sid Solomon. If I saw him and I had to get him, yeah, I finally got him. Corner boost to mix up the solution. I am such a problem, crazy goonie, gone up that pollution with a group of goblins, super choppers, and they hoot and holler when we super dollars, losing partners. But if you started, we gon' finish it. Welcome to the wild side. You know what the business is.
Been running fast, crossing county lines just to make my name in the city. Took everything, put it on the line, cause I never break or back down. One shot is do or die.
You make me feel so good. The music is so cool.
I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm a boss, I'm a I am a king on the throne and I'm running the kingdom with all my ability, using my strength and agility. Money.
Put your hands up, everybody knows that. Don't hold back, got you on go jack. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Party on replay, party on replay.
Fast, crossing county lines just to make my name in the city. Took everything, put it on the line, cause I never break or back down. One shot is do or die.
Welcome to the bottom of the bottom. Me and Seen Solemn. If I saw him and I had to get him, yeah, I probably got him. Corner boost to mix up the solution. I am such a problem. Crazy goon and gone up that pollution with a group of goblins, super choppers, and they hoot and holler when we scooping dollars, super partners. But if you started, we gon' finish it. Welcome to the wild side. You know what the business is.
Put your hands up, everybody knows that. Don't hold back, got you on go jack. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Party on replay, party on replay.
I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm a boss, I'm a I am a king on the throne and I'm running the kingdom with all my ability, using my strength and agility. Money.
You make me feel so good. The music is so cool.
Welcome to the bottom of the bottom. Me and Seen Solemn. If I saw him and I had to get him, yeah, I probably got him. Corner boost to mix up the solution. I am such a problem. Crazy goon and gone up that pollution with a group of goblins, super choppers, and they hoot and holler when we flipping dollars, super partners. But if you started, we gon' finish it. Welcome to the wild side. You know what the business is.
I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm a boss, I'm a I am a king on the throne and I'm running the kingdom with all my ability, using my strength and agility. Money, power. Been running fast, crossing county lines just to make my name in the city. Took everything, put it on the line, cause I never break or back down. One shot is do or die.
Put your hands up, everybody knows that. Don't hold back, got you on go jack. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Party on replay, party on replay.
You make me feel so good. The music is so cool.
Welcome to the bottom of the bottom. Me and Seen Solemn. If I saw him and I had to get him, yeah, I probably got him. Corner boost to mix up the solution. I am such a problem. Crazy goon and gone up that pollution with a group of goblins, super choppers, and they hoot and holler when we flipping dollars, super partners. But if you started, we gon' finish it. Welcome to the wild side. You know what the business is.
I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm a boss, I'm a I am a king on the throne and I'm running the kingdom with all my ability, using my strength and agility. Money.
You make me feel so good. The music is so cool.
crossing county lines just to make my name in the city. Took everything, put it on the line, cause I never break or back down. One shot is do or die.
Put your hands up, everybody knows that. Don't hold back, got you on go Jack. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Party on replay, party on replay.
No, I turned off your. Okay. Let me turn off your. Let me mute you.
Welcome to the bottom of the bottom. Me and Solomon. If I saw him and I had to get him, yeah, I finally got him. Gonna boost and mix up the solution. I am such a problem. Crazy goon and gone up that pollution with a group of goblins, super choppers, and they hoot and holler when we smoking dollars. It's a partnership. But if you started, we gon' finish it. Welcome to the wild side. You know what the business is.
You make me feel so good. The music is so cool.
I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm a boss, I'm a boss. I am a king on the throne and I'm running the kingdom with all my ability. With my strength and ability.
Put your hands up, everybody knows that. Don't hold back, got you on go Jack.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited. Oh, my goodness. Welcome to Black Wealth Matters. We're in Series 3. We're doing a bonus. And before we introduce our guest, who I gave him the go ahead to talk as long as he wants, because honestly, we can't get enough information from people such as himself. But before I introduce you to him, let me introduce you to me. My name is Saria Rigo. I am the mind behind the Black Wealth Matters educational series, but there's a team that created it. My team, we're financial professionals out of Long Beach, California, and a few other areas. And we really created the series after the death of George Floyd. And just to give you guys the background, my team is extremely diverse. We have Jamie Haile, who's a who's an educator. We have Gilbert Aguilar, who retired and joined the financial sector after years as a city worker. We have Catherine Flores. We have Fabiana Downer. We have Ken Gray. We have Raquel Pumplin, and we're ever growing. And our intention really is to help people create wealth, because we did notice that there was a connection between poverty and the people that are victimized the most in our society that continues to exist the way that it has existed. So today, what I'm going to do before we start with Dr. Fraser is I'm going to give you a quick idea of who we are and what we do. And the goal there is to really just to share why we're doing what we're doing, and see if there's any way that you can participate. Ultimately, the conversation is absolutely about wealth. And when it comes to the financial sector, you guys, unfortunately, there just aren't enough people of color in the financial sector, especially Black people. There's so few Black people in the financial sector that when I Google the number of Blacks in finance that are licensed financial advisors and financial professionals, the number doesn't even come up. That's how few it is. And what we know is people trust the people that they have a connection with. So because there are so few people in the financial sector, that also impacts the people that are getting help because they don't see themselves represented. So what we want to do is aggressively change that. So while you're listening today, understand that we know that the wealth gap is a real thing. And a lot of times we do need 3 incomes in 2-person households. And what we're trying to do is see if we can be a viable source to, number one, help you create more income. Number 2, help you learn about financial education. And number 3, if you are so interested in activism, we love to help you, have you join us as well. So today I'm going to share why I believe in this company, who I am, and then I'm going to give you some education basics, and I promise I'll be done in short of about 15 to 20 minutes max, but more like 15. So we help family build better futures financially and education-wise, and in terms of business as well. In terms of our company, what's great about the financial sector is that it has changed. Back when I graduated from college in the late 90s, you had to have a degree from finance or a master's or something in order to even be considered for the companies. Now you have to have some grit, a good heart, and the ability to pass the licenses. So that's what you need now. So if you have friends or family members and they're entrepreneurial and they're looking at what they can do to make an impact, I think there's no better time than right now to really look at how we can start transforming the financial sector from the inside out. So our company has amazing financial products. We have a great platform. The compensation is awesome. And right now we're just at the right place at the right time. People are financially curious more than I've ever seen before. And speaking of which, Dr. Fraser is actually going to talk about cryptocurrency, which is one of those areas that people are curious about as well, in addition to stocks and bonds and mutual funds. And then as far as a company, we believe in providing value in terms of your mindset and your growth, not just your finances, because what we understand is that your mindset and your growth impact your finances. Every week, my team and I, we have a group that reads a self-development book. And right now we're finishing up How to Win Friends and Influence People. And then after that, we're reading Emotional Intelligence. And that's one group. On the other group, we read Think and Grow Rich. And it was through reading that book that I was introduced to Dr. George Fraser, because one of the club members, Miss Latanya Edwards, she got called to the carpet because Dr. Fraser let people know when they're spectacular and when they're mediocre, and just through his straightforward talks of love. And she was like, you know what? I'm mediocre. And it was such a interesting conversation that we all immediately got on and watched. And I was so inspired by him that I started trying to find him through all means necessary. And I found him and asked him if he would be interested in talking with us about the importance of networking, because I feel like sometimes people believe that they can outwork their people skills, and there's just no such thing. So he's going to talk about that. But in terms of the group, our self-development is very important. And that's as important as the need for financial education and products in America. These are statistics where people have on average $16,000 of credit card debt. 39% of households don't have enough to cover $1,000 emergency. And the saying is this: when America catches a cold, Black America catches the flu or pneumonia. So all of those numbers are greatly higher for Black America. And where people are right now is they just don't have enough protection. They have not enough wealth, way more debt, very little savings, and they just don't know what strategies that they can have for their futures. And what that creates is a lot of financial anxiety. And financial anxiety is a real thing. I know as Black folks and people of color in this room, we're accustomed to toughing it out. We're accustomed to, you know, making it through. But the reality is our mental frailty or our mental health does have an impact. It does on everyone. And finance is as big of a concern for people mentally as anything else. So we want to minimize that through just solid strategies and accountability and coaching. And we're one of the few companies that actually wants to help middle income people, whereas most of the companies that I've been with, regardless of the names, I won't even give you the names, but I've been with about 3 different wealth management companies prior to this, and all we did was help different degrees of wealthy, right? And what that didn't include was my mom, my girlfriends, my sorority sisters, my friends from high school. That didn't include any of my community, because at best, we were first generation college graduates. At worst, we were still working and trying to figure it out. So even though I had these special skills, I was never able to share them. And that's one of the reasons why I came to this company, because it's one of the few companies that allow me to share all the information I know. And then in turn, that allows people to help as much or as little as they want in their own communities. And right now, people believe that wealth is fancy things. And the reality is, that's not what we're creating here. We're creating healthy habits around wealth. We're creating the ability and understanding of why it's important for you to pay yourself first. What percentages you should use to pay yourself first. How should that be separated from long-term to short-term? And the ultimate goal is financial independence. And if we take it to another level, what I really want us to think about as Black folks and people of color and allies is I really want us to think about using our wealth as a means of protection for our vulnerable. And what that looks like is we might be in our jobs and our dream careers, but usually that's just one of us. And we still have to give money and help people in our family. Consider that we might be able to have a win-win situation. And what that might look like is you might own something where you're able to employ your family or friends or community and pay well, or you might own real estate and you're able to give that apartment to that person who might not have the best credit, but is on time with their bills and all that good stuff. So our financial independence needs to show up as something more than a great photo platform on Instagram. It needs to show up as what's happening with our communities and how we're helping people. So as a company, how do we help with that? We just help with the financial planning part, because it all takes money, right? So in our first meeting with people, we educate. In our second meeting, if they choose a second meeting with us, we go over strategies. And in our basic, in everything we do, we provide basic financial concepts and education, like the rule of 72. The rule of 72 is about compound interest. You take 72, you divide it by the interest rate of whatever your investment is getting, and it gives you approximately how many years it takes for your money to double. So if you're getting 4%, it takes 18 years for your money to double. So if you start out with 10,000, 18 years later, you have 20,000. And then by the time you're 53 years later, you'll have 79,000. That 4%, as an adult, we don't have a lot of 53 years on our 20, right? So it's really important that we are maximizing our resources in a way that we feel comfortable with. And we also aren't procrastinating. One of the unfortunate realities about America, if you're not making good money and you're considered to be below the poverty line, is that it's really expensive. It's really expensive. They say that being poor in America is one of the most expensive things that can happen. So it gives people that feeling like they can't plan for the future, but we can, right? We're consumers. We buy we buy things. There's a way we can do it. And the priority is always now. This just gives you the idea of what happens when you wait. This person in this situation, all they did was wait 10 years. They waited from 30 to 40, and they were both saving the same amount, $2,500 a year. They waited 10 years, and it ended up being an extra $78,000 that they missed. That's how compound interest can work against you. But my favorite thing, the best thing that we do is we educate people about taxes. You guys, there's a book called The Whiteness of Wealth, and it talks about how taxes disproportionately affect people of color because of the way that we earn our money. So it's not only taxes that affect people of color disproportionately, but it's also how we save. So there's 3 things we can do with our money in terms of taxes. We can put it in taxable vehicles, like our checking account savings, investment accounts. We can put in tax deferred vehicles. The problem with tax deferred vehicles is that we're paying taxes later. We don't know what taxes will be later. Or we can put it in tax advantage vehicles where we're paying taxes right now, but no more. What we do is we educate you about the pros and cons of each, and then we pick out a strategy. But what makes our company unique is that we do have those tax advantage vehicles for everyone. And in our strategy, we're answering the questions that are important for you. What should you prioritize? How are you going to reach that goal of buying that house or that investment property, whatever is important for you? We look at cash flow, debt, emergency funds. COVID should have taught us all that we need emergency funds, proper protection, and that means benefits outside of your job, building wealth with your investments, and last but not least, preserving that wealth with a will or a trust. And these are some of the companies that we work with and some of the products that we offer. And as a company, we have a great model, and you guys are just going to have to set appointments with us to learn more. So again, we're World Financial Group, and what I would love for you guys to do is pull out some pen and paper, take notes, and be really super committed to getting some information from this presentation. In terms of us, please follow us on social media at BWM Series, and follow us there. Make sure to register for all the classes. You're going to get a recording, share it with your friends and family, take notes, and I am going to get prepared to introduce the speaker. So Dr. Fraser he insisted that for 40 years there be no sizzle reel of his life work and purpose until there was something to quantify and sizzle about. He was born in 1945 in Brooklyn, New York, to a troubled family of 11 children. And after serious mental health issues with his mom, at 2 years old, he and his six of his siblings were orphaned, then put into toxic foster homes for a total of 16 years. He was not considered to be college material, so he was sent to a vocational school and got a diploma in carpentry. The rest is history. Dr. Fraser has always believed it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And that God has plans for each of us. We must simply listen for his voice, follow directions, overcome the obstacles, and stay course. Dr. Fraser's favorite line is from super rapper Drake. We started from the bottom, now we're here. Now I would love to share Dr. Fraser's sizzle reel with you guys. Just bear with me for 2 seconds. I'm going to share my screen. All right. Oops, sorry. Let me get out of that. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay. Sharing again. All right, Dr. Fraser, are you there? Let me make sure I am unmuting you.
You hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
No, video is the little screen up there.
Yes, it's the little screen at the top.
The turn screen on. Okay. Is that it?
It says turn video. It's the first one. It says turn video on.
Okay.
I don't think I can turn it on for you. They don't let us do that in the world because that is too much.
Video. Oh, turn video on. Here we go. All right. There we go. All right. All right. This is my first time on
this platform. Webinar Jam is what it's called.
Yeah. Okay. So this is I gotta adjust my screen a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, let me see if I can move this over. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, that's
hello. Thank you.
There you go. And there's the camera. And I think I'm all set now. Let me get organized. And that's what the whole testing is about.
Right. But you know what? It took us 5 seconds. 5 seconds. We're good.
Right. All right. So am I there we go. So yeah, I'm not used to this camera, to this screen, but I just want to make sure I'm looking at the audience. Am I doing that? Can you? Yes.
Yep, you are.
Right.
Do you see me? Do you see me?
Oh yeah, I can see you. Sure.
Okay,
absolutely.
Good. All right. Awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing what you do.
Thank you for participating. I appreciate you immensely. I'm so, oh my gosh, I've been so excited all day. So I wanted to, before you start, because I know you have a lot of wealth of information that you wanted to share, but the first thing I would love for you to just get out of the way, because it was so important for me, is I would love for you to share the importance of networking, and also more than anything, really that relationship building, likability, the personal part of our personalities, and the desire to work on that. And that was one of the things that I really loved from your presentation. So often I think we're taught that if we're hard workers, we don't have to do anything else. And I just don't think that's true. I think that, go ahead.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Okay, we'll start with the power and importance of the relationships in your life, which from a very, very, very large perspective will in fact affect and effect your long-term wealth. Let me say it differently. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If the 5 people you spend the most time with earn $60,000 a year, you're probably earning $60,000 a year. The fastest way to change yourself is to hang out with people who are already where you want to be. So if you want to earn $100,000 a year, $150,000 a year, you're going to have to find people that earn that amount of money, because there's a system for everything. Everything is a system. I say this to entrepreneurs all the time. If you don't have a system, you don't have a business. I don't know what the hell you have, but it is not a business. There's a system for earning everything. If you want to earn $150,000 a year, hang with people that are earning $150,000 a year and follow their system, not the people who are making $60,000 a year. They only know the system for accumulating $60,000 a year. What am I saying to you? I'm saying don't spend major time with minor people. People going nowhere want you to go nowhere with them. People doing nothing want you to do nothing with them. If you want to change your life, change your relationships. If you're not where you want to be in life, it is because you don't have the right people in your life. This is biblical. This is not something Dr. Fraser made up. One of my favorite quotes in the Bible is John 5:30. It is a direct quote from Jesus Christ. There are 800,000 words in the Bible. Only 1,200 of those words are direct quotes from Jesus Christ. John 5:30. And Jesus said, I of my own self can do nothing. Now this was Jesus, the Son of God. He couldn't get it done on his own by himself in a vacuum. He needed 12 disciples. And one turned on him. So there is no success that you can attain, sustain, or maintain on your own by yourself in a vacuum, including building wealth. This is huge. And if you're in business, and we're all in some kind of business. If you're married, you're in business. If you're in business, you're in business. If you're working for someone, in the public or private or independent sector, you're in a business. So remember this, business is about relationships. Without relationships, you have no business. Without relationships, you have no business being in business. In fact, the business you're really in is the business of building relationships. That's the business you're in. Now, come to grips with that. Understand that. Understand how to effectively build relationships, how to network. I've written 6 best-selling books on the subject. Maybe you read one of them. Here's one I wrote 30 years ago. It's called Success Runs in Our Race, The Complete Guide to Effective Networking in the African American Community. I wrote this book 30 years ago. You can pick up a copy on Amazon. It still sells 15,000 copies a year. How many books you know other than the Bible that was written 30 years ago that is still selling on Amazon? It is a modern-day classic. It is required reading in 57 historically Black colleges. It is the book that started the networking conversation and ultimately started the networking movement. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying. What do you know about effective networking, about building relationships? Do you understand the art and science of that? I followed that up with a book 10 years later. You may have heard of this book called Click, 10 Truths for Building Extraordinary Relationships. So let's call this Power Networking 2.0. Why is that, Dr. Fraser? Because you don't click with everybody that you network with. You click when 3 things are in perfect alignment: chemistry, fit, and timing. We could have good chemistry, good fit, bad timing. We won't click. We could have good timing, good fit, bad chemistry. We won't click. Move any one of those 3 things out of the alignment and you will not click. So this is a book about building extraordinary relationships where 1 + 1 doesn't make 2. I'm not interested in that. And neither should you be. 1 + 1 should make 11. Generally, we marry those people because marriage is a serious business. Don't get it twisted. What do you know about building relationships? Have you spent any time studying it? Let me just talk about a couple of mistakes that Black people make when networking. I've been observing our people in this mode for 40 years. I've written 6 best-selling books on the subject. I commissioned the Gallup organization a decade ago to do a national study on the networking habits of Black people as compared to white people. The results was mind-boggling. We don't spend enough time on this thing called networking or building effective relationships. We spend about 30% of our time. White folks spend 55 to 60% of their time. As a result, they have about 175 well-developed and influential contacts to tap into. We have about 25. In fact, when we did the study a decade ago, 47% of Black people said that networking wasn't really that important. What was important was their education, was their intellect. That's important. But it's not more important than understanding the power and importance of relationships and building the skills, the interpersonal and people skills, or the EQ, or the emotional quotient, or the emotional intelligence, which is simply managing your 5 most important emotions: happiness, sadness, anger, shame, and fear. Managing those emotions and using the management of those emotions to cultivate, nurture, and to build relationships, partnerships, collaborations, strategic alliances, joint ventures, and partnerships. All of those things help you to build wealth. So let me say this about that. This is the second biggest mistake that Black people make. They think that their IQ is more important than their EQ. Wrong. As you grow older and wiser, you will find out that your EQ will be much more important than your IQ. I don't care if you have an MBA from Harvard. If you have the personality of a box of rocks and you cannot get along and work with and through people, you ain't going nowhere. I don't care how smart you are. I have a high school diploma and a network of 1.2 million people. I worked on and developed and learned how to improve my interpersonal and people skills. So that's the second biggest mistake we make. What is the number one mistake that Black people make? They network to get something. Wrong. You network to give, and as you give, you get. You ain't giving, you ain't getting. If you have nothing, it's because you've given nothing. That you cannot take out of life that which you have not put into life. Just like you can't take out of the bank that which you have not put into the bank. Again, I did not make this up. This is biblical. It is better to give than to receive. And we give unconditionally. I don't give my wife of 48 years flowers because she gave me chocolates. That's a condition. I don't love Nora Jean because she loves me. I love her because I love her. If I loved her because she loved me, that would be a condition. We give unconditionally because we know that the only way to get is to give. Now, I may not get it back from you. I'm not looking for it from you. But I'm depositing into the spiritual bank of giving. And so know this and understand this and never forget this. It is impossible to give and not get. That's how God has designed the system. Do you live with your hands open or your hands closed? Nothing comes in. It's a moral and spiritual mindset. It's one of the biggest mistakes we make. So here's how that works. If you ever observe me networking in the public sphere with new people, let's say I meet someone and we have a 10-minute conversation. 9 minutes of the conversation is going to be about them. 1 minute will be about me. They'll ask me a question. I'll answer the question clearly and succinctly. Then I will flip the script. And for the next 9 minutes, I'm talking and asking them about them for one simple reason. I'm in a contest with them. They don't know that I'm in a contest.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the first person that gives wins, but I don't tell them that. So I'm asking them lots of questions. I'm trying to find out who they are, what they want, what is their vision, what is their mission, where are they going, what do they need right now. And while they're talking, I'm going through my mental Rolodex of stuff, things, and people that I could give them instantly. And when I do, and most of the time I do, I say to myself in the quiet of my mind, I win. But I'm not giving to get. I'm giving because I can. I'm giving because it is required of us to give. So here's how that works. Think about this. It's a real simple little equation. It's a real simple little system. Help me. Help you. Help me. That's how it works. Help me understand how I can help you. And in helping you, what am I really doing? I'm helping me. Everybody wins. But that's a mindset. Think on that. Do not network to get something. Network to give. Solve that mistake. Develop your emotional intelligence. It's a wonderful book I recommend. It's called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Pick it up on Amazon. It'll cost you $15 and you'll have it by tomorrow. Read that book twice. Take the test in the back. They'll give you a passcode to go to the internet. You can take an examination on your EQ, just like you can take an examination for your IQ, and you can take an examination for your personality. Those are the three things that make you up. Right? Your personality, your IQ, and your EQ. Your personality is what it is. There's very little you can do to change that. Your IQ is what it is. It is your capacity to learn. Very difficult, if impossible, to change that. The only one of the three that you can change is your emotional intelligence. You can improve that. You can build your skills around that, and you will need it for your entire freaking life. It's worth the time. Pick up the book, read it twice. Take the exam before, then after. Hopefully you'll have a Mensa rating on your EQ exam. So, I said that, and I just want to still be loved. The final thing I'm going to talk about when it comes to relationships, a big mistake that we make is that you bring nothing to the table. Let me say that a different way. God will invite everyone to the table of life to eat. There will be no exceptions to the rule. But if the only thing you do when you sit at the table of life is eat, and you don't bring anything to the table, you will not be invited back. It goes down real quiet. Two people are talking about something important. Someone brings up your name to include you, and the other person says, no, they don't bring anything to the table. And you don't get invited in. And you don't even know. So what does all that mean? I am praying to God that as you live, hopefully your 8 passages in life, every passage is 10 years, that you will be committed to lifelong learning, constant, never-ending improvement, personal growth and development. I hope you are. I hope you're always learning. And most importantly, I hope that you're reading. Are you reading? Black people don't read. You know the old saying, you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book. We don't read. And therefore, we are lacking a critical mass of critical thinkers. And to be a critical thinker, you have to have intellectual curiosity. And you satisfy that curiosity, you satiate that curiosity by reading. I'm in my office. You see what's behind me? In my office is 1,500 books. In my home is 15,000 books. I read 100 books a year. The average American only reads one book a year. If you commit to reading one book a month, in 5 years you will have read 60 books, and the average American will have only read 5. Who's going to be smarter? Read. Black people, read. Your job is to become a subject matter expert based on your purpose in life. That's your job. Discovering that which gives you the greatest fulfillment, the greatest joy, and the greatest satisfaction. What is that? And become a subject matter expert. You need to be you need to be an inch wide and a mile deep. An inch wide and a mile deep in your subject matter expertise. And then you need to be a mile wide and an inch deep in matters of the world, so that you can talk about something other than sports and the weather and what's going on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Who gives a shit? You need to be a 360-degree human being so you can have a different and a decent conversation. You can be a conversationalist. Bring something to the table. Develop your skills. Do not be one-dimensional. When you're not, that means you're interesting. And when you're interesting, people are interested in you. People want to be around you. People learn from you and grow. They know that you have an open mind and you learn from them. And we're constantly teaching each other. Are you a critical thinker? Are you intellectually curious? Some of the most interesting people I know not only have a high EQ, but they're extraordinarily smart. Always interesting. Tell wonderful stories. Always teaching, unintentionally. Are you that kind of person? As a black person, I want to say this and still be loved. You have to be amazing. Black people can't be mediocre. I'm sorry. Only white people can be mediocre. We know that from the last president. If Barack Hussein Obama had said or done 1/1000th of what Donald Trump had said or done, he wouldn't have been elected a freaking dog catcher in America. Only a mediocre white man could rise to leader of the free world. He is the epitome of mediocrity. That could never happen for a black person. We have to be amazing, minimally excellent, gangster. I don't mean the thug life. I mean exceptional. Either we are excellent or we are invisible. Let me say that again and don't ever forget it. Either you are excellent or you are invisible. As a black person, you will not be going anywhere in this country. When you're excellent, you bring something to the table. And you're probably a pretty good money manager. But that would be, or you would be in the minority. The majority of our people are not. We are a financially illiterate people. We're at the bottom of every single economic statistic that matters in America. And we came over here on the damn Mayflower. On the Mayflower. We have a ton of work to do. A ton of work. And we have to put ourselves first. So until Black America put itself first, Black America will always be last. To be black and beautiful in this world means nothing unless you're black and powerful. You can't be black and proud and niggas too. White folks are planning for 3 generations and you're planning for Saturday night. Brothers and sisters, the goal is to win, not to look like you're winning. I would rather carry a plastic bag with $5,000 in it than to carry a $5,000 Louis Vuitton bag with $100 in it. Your ass ain't winning. Louis Vuitton is winning. Gucci is winning. Nike is winning. Armani is winning. You are not winning. It is interesting to me that the rich stay rich by pretending to be poor, and the poor stay poor by pretending to be rich. What's up with that? We are headed, according to all of the studies and all of the statistics, we are headed into a second slavery, brothers and sisters, if nothing changes. I hope you saw this recent statistic. This is really interesting. Now, you might not be able to read it, so let me read it to you. White American households own 90% of the national wealth. Black Americans altogether own 2.6%, and we're 14% of the population, and we came over here on the damn Mayflower. We've got to fix this. Dr. Amos Wilson, you probably don't know who he is. Go on YouTube, put his name in, and watch every video he ever made before he died. It was Dr. Amos Wilson who told us 30 years ago, our refusal as Black people to confront the issues of money, I'm quoting you, and wealth, is going to end up with our very lives being threatened as a people on this earth, end of quote. Our lives are threatened. Now, the Institute of Policy Studies, I don't know if you are familiar with the Institute of Policy Studies, but Google them. Wikipedia them. Came out with a national study on the economic state of Black America in 2018. Read the study. I'm going to quote from the conclusion of the study, which was published in Fortune magazine. The study was 2017. Here is the quote. By 2053, just 10 years after the country is projected to become majority non-white, Black median families will own zero wealth if these trends continue. White median families will continue to own 6 figures. Institute of Policy Studies, 2017. In other words, try to operate in a market-based economy in a democratic capitalistic society without money. That means effectively you are in a second slavery. It's 2021, that's 2053. So we don't have a lot of time. In fact, there was an interesting front page story in the Boston Globe, 2019, December. The story was so egregious about black people in Boston, one of the wealthiest cities in America, the home of Harvard, MIT, Sarah Lawrence, Bryn Mawr, Boston University, Boston College, a technology center. The headline in the Boston Globe about us made national news. It was covered on network television. In fact, the headline was so egregious about black people in Boston and their money, they had to qualify the headline in the headline. I'm going to show you the headline. Here it is right here. Now, you might not be able to read it because it may come off backwards, so I'm going to read it to you. There's a black man at the top of the headline, and here's what it says. This is no typo, colon. The median net worth of black Bostonians really is $8. Those Negroes are 30 years ahead of the prediction from the Institute of Policy Studies that said by 2053, we wouldn't have any money. In one of the richest cities in America. I'm not talking about Mississippi or Alabama. I'm talking about Boston. We have serious work to do. But I would bet you 99.99% of black people in America, all 46 out of 46 million, never read that study. They have no clue that that's what they're up against. No one is going to fix us, brothers and sisters, but us. Let me say that a different way. White people will not be saving black people. White people are not even thinking about black people. Do you know who white people are thinking about? They're thinking about white people. That's who they're thinking about. They're thinking about their husbands, their wives, their schools, their neighborhoods, their businesses, and their pockets and your pockets. That's what they're thinking about. They're not thinking about you. Asians ain't thinking about you. They're thinking about Asians. And you can't hate on them for that. In fact, if you go into a Chinese restaurant in the hood, and there are plenty of them, and there are 4 brothers waiting on you, leave. That's not a real Chinese restaurant. Why? Because Asians do not employ black people. They employ Asians. They ain't thinking about you. They're thinking about your pocket. They don't want to live with you. They want to capitalize on retail opportunities. They want to take your money. And then they leave. They close up and they leave. They get the hell out of the urban centers. Now, try to open up the Booker T. Washington delicatessen in Chinatown. See what happens. They're not thinking about us. We are going to save us if we are to be saved. And the kind of work the Sierra is doing is the kind of work that needs to be done. Because black people have some broke-ass habits. I mean, things that we have habitualized, that have been enculturated. It's going to take 100 freaking years, I think, to close the gap. I think we can make progress. What are some of those broke-ass habits? We don't even talk about money. We don't talk about money at home. We don't talk about money in church. We don't talk about money in our schools. That is not our conversation. We're talking about what's going on in the Real Housewives of Atlanta. That's what we're talking about. That new dress that Beyonce had on. Shame on us. Shame on you. Now, as Malcolm X would say, if I throw a rock and it hits you, it was intended for you. If it doesn't apply to you, don't get upset. If it does apply to you, you should be pissed off. And you should be ashamed of yourself. We must model the behavior that we expect from our children. And if you ain't talking about money, if you're not modeling the behavior that you expect from your children when it comes to money, if it's not a kitchen table conversation with your family, what are you talking about that matters? Other than family business and maybe some discipline things. Yes, all of that's important, but money is just as important.
Mm-hmm.
We have some broke ass habits. Our impulse purchases, I talked about one, borrowing on credit cards, buying to impress people, not saving at least 10% of your money, tithing to you, no emergency fund, living above our means as opposed to living below our means and investing the rest. These are bad habits, and we need to change the habits of existing generations, Generation X, Y, Z, and Generation Alpha. That's on us. White people ain't fixing that. They're not going to fix your bad habits because it's okay with them. Most of the money that we have, disposable income, goes back to them. I'm a big supporter of reparations. Absolutely. We deserve trillions of dollars. America owes us trillions for what they did to us. And 250 years of free labor from millions. But I'm praying to God that we do not get reparations until we are more financially literate. Because what will happen to those trillions if we ever got them? They would end up right back in the hands of white folk. That's where it would be. So we need to get educated. That's on us. Every black family should own land. The cornerstone of most wealth. Every black family should own gold. Every black family should own crypto. I'll expand on that in a moment. Every black family should be properly insured. Every black family should have an LLC and the tax benefits from an LLC. Every black family should have an investment account. Every black family should have stocks. Every black family should have a trust. Every black family should have an established will. No more GoFundMe campaigns to bury our mom or dad or our cousin or Bubba in there. How stupid is that? How petty is that? And every black family should be producing an essential product. In America, two things are going on 24/7. Somebody's buying and somebody's selling. We're doing all the damn buying. Stop it. Sell something. If you bake cookies, put them in a box, put your name on it and sell it to somebody. If you live on a farm, take the manure, put it in a bag. Put your name on it and sell it to somebody. You can become an entrepreneur. Stop doing all the damn buying and sell something. We own the fewest number of businesses in this country per capita. And again, we came over here on the Mayflower. We hate selling. Black people hate selling. I guess it's the fear of rejection. Or they can't handle. No, we hate selling. We love buying, though. That way, and that's why we are the consumption class in America, and white folks are the merchant class. They make stuff, we buy stuff. That has got to change. And you and your children and future generations have to change it. I started 15 years ago a financial education system. It's evolved over time. 15 years ago, It was called the Moses Movement. That's what the company developed, FraserNet, connect, grow, and prosper, learn, earn, and return. It meant making ourselves economically successful. I developed what I call the 10 commitments to financial freedom. It then evolved into WINS, Wealth Building Centers and Curriculum. There's a whole system for teaching financial education. Embedded in the Black church, there are 85,000 Black churches, about 10,000 of them have wealth ministries, and they ain't worth a damn, most of them. They needed to be upgraded. They needed a system. They needed a culturally specific curriculum. So we spent $250,000 developing a 75-module, culturally specific curriculum. What does that mean, Dr. Fraser? Because Black people learn differently than white people. We're oral, visual, tactile, kinesthetic, and auditory learners. And we needed a curriculum that addressed that. And we developed. And it's part of what is now the WINS. There it is. Wealth Building Centers and Curriculum, and we embed this system for a small licensing fee, I should say, in historically Black churches all around the country, social and civic and fraternities and sororities, so that they could have a financial education day once a month. And what I've convinced the enormous number of Black churches that have taken on the WINS Wealth Building Center is if Wednesday is Bible study day, Thursday ought to be financial education day. That's where we're going. Now, part of our WINS Wealth Building Center is our 10 commitments to financial freedom. Our 10 commitments to financial freedom. Let me quickly read them to you. I didn't want to say commandments. I didn't want to sound too biblical. So I said commitments. Number 1, thou shalt prepare myself and family to tithe easily, effortlessly, and joyfully. That's number 1. Number 2, I shall maximize my earning potential, better manage my budget, and live below my means. Number 3, I shall start building wealth now and prepare my children to start early. Number 4, I shall save and invest at least 10% of my monthly income tied to me first, to my family, for my children. Number 5, I shall use home ownership and real estate as the cornerstone for building wealth. It has historically been that. Number 6, I shall establish an investment plan for my retirement needs, my children's education, and community-based philanthropy, giving back. Number 7, I shall more effectively manage my credit, debt, and tax obligations to develop a track record of predictable financial behavior. That's called a credit rating. Let that go south on you and see how much you pay. Number 8, I shall ensure that my wealth is passed to future generations through proper insurance and estate planning. Number 9, I shall support the creation and growth of minority-owned businesses. In other words, recycling Black dollars. Number 10, I shall monitor and focus on my wellness to live a long and fruitful life as a model for my children. That and they are the 10 commitments to financial freedom. If you'd like to know more about how something like this could get into your place of worship, all you have to do is email me at gfraser@frasernet.com, and I'll send you information on the WINS Wealth Building Centers. And we're going to, so I mentioned that we have a 75-module curriculum as part of the WINS Wealth Building Centers. But at the end of the day, it's focused on what I call the 4 pillars for the intergenerational transfer of wealth. They're pillars. Everything stands on those pillars. First is the proper management of accumulated wealth. So we can stop reading about football and basketball and baseball players and movie stars that once they retire, within 5 or 6 years, they're broke or in bankruptcy. That's the improper management of accumulated wealth. There are 2 million black people in America out of 46 million that are worth $400,000 or more. Most of that's tied up in real estate. Are we properly managing that wealth? No. The proper management of accumulated wealth. Or you say, Dr. Fraser, well, how does one do that? Well, you can start with becoming financially literate. It's available almost free, just like this is. Everywhere on the internet. Tonight we have 44 out of 46 million people. That's a good learn how to manage your money. And if you don't want to learn, hire someone that has invested their life in learning, like Sierra was talking about. I'm a certified financial education instructor, a CFEI, and I have an insurance license, and I don't sell insurance. But I was so interested in insurance and all of the machinations about insurance, I figured if I really want to learn about insurance, let me get licensed in it. That's how intellectually curious I was. And if I really want to talk about wealth, let me get a certification in it. That's called a CFEI, Certified Financial Education Instructor. You could do the same. I don't have a college degree. I have a high school diploma in carpentry. Now I have 3 honorary doctorate degrees for my body of work. But if I can do it with a vocational diploma in carpentry, what the hell are you waiting for? Proper management of accumulated wealth. Hire someone. If you're a subject matter expertise, you know everything about that subject, do that. If you don't know anything about money, get some brother or sister out here that does and have them do that for you. There are plenty of them to choose from. The second pillar for the intergenerational transfer of wealth is real estate. Real estate. Real estate. They ain't making any more. Get some. Third is business ownership. Actually, you're never going to get super wealthy working for someone. It's okay to work for someone. It's okay to do the work that you love. If you love teaching, you're working in the public sector. But you're not going to get wealthy as a teacher. You're not. You'll live comfortable. If your desire is to have more, then you can still be a teacher and do more. Or whatever it is that you're doing. Business ownership. The third is proper insurance. Already talked about that. There's an interesting study on the New York Times. It wasn't really a study. It was an article about black people and their cell phones. Here's what it said. It said that more black people have insurance on their cell phones than on their lives and the lives of their children. In other words, we value our cell phones more than we value our lives. How jacked up is that? Are we out of our minds? Or we just don't know? Proper insurance. Those are the 4 pillars for the intergenerational transfer of wealth. Now, 3 simple tips. Follow these 3 rules and you will find financial freedom. 3 simple little rules. Write them down. You follow these 3 rules to the T and you will be financially free over time. Your rent or your mortgage should be less than you make in a week. If the 2 people living in the same place combine what both of you make in a week and stay within that range. Let me repeat that. Your rent or your mortgage should be less than what you make in a week. Do you know how many Negroes are house poor, trying to impress somebody? Number 2, only borrow money to make money. Only borrow money to make money. Now, I don't even want to get into that. Most of our purchases do not make money. They end up being debt. You can borrow money to buy a home because inevitably, over time, homes increase in value. Borrowing money for a car, well, a car can make you money because it gets you to and from perhaps your work. It makes your travel easier. But monitor how much you spend. My wife and I have been married for 48 years. And 48 years ago, we made a pact. The pact was we would never buy a new car. We would always buy a used car, 3 years old, off lease, a luxury car. They happen to be Lexus. She had one. I have one. We'd buy them off lease. We'd keep our payment around $200 a month. And then the decision we made is the particular season in which we bought the used car, if our payment was $200, we would calculate what a new car for the same year would be. If that was $400, we would take the $200 difference between the $200 we're paying and the $400 would have been had we purchased a new car, and we would put that in something that compounded. That's the area I was talking about. Einstein called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. Now, we've been doing that for 48 years. 2 cars. You don't even want me to tell you that one move, how much money we have accumulated doing that one thing. Oh, we drive a luxury car. It's a Lexus. 3 years off lease, $200 a month payment. We pay it off in 3 or 4 or 5 years because it helps the credit, whatever it is, 3 years or so. And then we ride it until the wheels fall off, and then we get the next one. $1.3 million. Just buying a used luxury car, 3 years off lease, and keeping the payment at about $200 a month. And then investing the difference between a new car and a used car. Only borrow money to make money. The third tip is, as your income increases, brothers and sisters, your cost of living should decrease or stay the same. Stop living above your means, which means you spend more than you earn. Stop living even within your means, which means you're spending everything you earn, and live below your means and invest the rest. Don't be house poor. only borrow money to make money. This is what white people do. A wonderful book I read many years ago, The Millionaires Next Door. Oh, read that book. So those are some three little tips. Now, I want to talk for a moment about cryptocurrency. And there's a little demonstration flyer I've asked Sarah to put up in this particular point, and then I'm going to finish with this. I said that every black family should have crypto. Why? It's the future. It's for our children. It ain't going nowhere. Oh, it'll be regulated. There'll be taxes on it. There'll be all kinds of things. But right now, it's the wild, wild west. And you can get very wealthy investing in crypto so long as you know what you're doing, so long as you study it, so long as you learn about it, so long as you mitigate your risk, so long as you don't invest money you can't afford. Why, Dr. Fraser? Because your fundamental goal, in case no one has told you, I'm going to tell you. You must put your money to work harder for you than you did for it. You know how damn hard you work for your money? What is your money doing for you? It's a fundamental principle. Is your money working harder for you than you did for it? And there are a million ways that you can do that. One of the pioneering ways right now is crypto. Learn about it. If you want to know more about it, email me. We do classes on it. We invest in it. A bunch of really smart Negroes. Yeah, our group is all black. Brilliant. And we've been at it for about a year. Yeah, I bought Ethereum at $97. Look it up. It's for our children. Just like I modeled buying stocks and bonds for my two sons, they buy stocks and bonds. I'm now modeling with my two sons crypto investments. They're buying crypto. Why crypto? Very high returns. And I want you to see those returns. Did you put do you have that up on the screen here? Ah, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. I want you to look at this. This is real. Look at this. If you invested $8,000, as I did, in 1980 in S&P stocks, today, 30 years later, you would have $783,086. This was the gold standard back in the day. Today, fast forward, we have to close the wealth gap. When we look at the menu of investment choices that we have, the interest rates are not that exciting. The average savings account pays 0.5% annually. You got your money in a savings account paying 0.5% annually, you're losing money. It won't keep up with inflation. A 5-year CD, I just looked it up, is 3% annually. You're losing money on a 5-year CD. You got your money invested in a mutual fund? Okay, 10 to 14% annually. A 401k, yeah, we have lots of 401k in the black community because we work in the public sector. It pays 10 to 11% annually. The stock market, 9.2% annually, unless you're brilliant. S&P 500 stocks, they pay more. In fact, the stock market has had a very, very great last 2 or 3 years. But it's still 13.6% annually. Real estate, 10 to 11% annually. Gold, 10.6%. So everything from number 3 down is a decent investment. It's safe. I want you to look at my investment over the last 10 months in crypto. I started with $550 in crypto. I put my toe in the water. It was in January of 2021. This is what I've earned 10 months later. Now, I must note that I also added $10,000 more in cash out of pocket. But then I upgraded in these various crypto platforms that I was in using profits purely from my crypto earnings. So I invested nothing else. So I'm $10,000 cash in on all of these investments. Investment number one, called Fraser, an incredible platform betting on Ethereum and Tron. I've earned $109,000. I got in that with $267. 10 months later, $109,000. Forex and Bitcoin, investment number two, cash Forex, $102,000. I started in that with just $7,000. 10 months later, $102,000. My third investment in the platform is crypto. Was a platform of the crypto ecosystem, blockchain, profits and building and mining and that kind of thing. I'm at 58,000. I started in that with $550, upgraded it to $2,500 from profits from my other crypto profits. I'm at 58,000. Platform number four, I just did this one a month ago, started with 2,500. I'm at 6,000. Then I have some smaller little platforms that I've been doing with other friends. I do this with people that know these things. The guy that leads us started with $500 last year. He is at 10 million. So here's what I have earned in the last 10 months with $10,000 out of my pocket. I've earned a total of $279,000 in 10 freaking months, which is a 2,800% return on my investment. Now, my stock investment at $8,000, in 30 years, I earned $783,000. In 9 months, I've earned $279,000. What will this look like in 30 freaking years? It's the Wild Wild West. As Bernie Mac would say, bust a move. Do something. Don't let this pass you. We missed the internet. Black people missed the internet. We missed cell phones. We missed cable television. We didn't invest in any of that. Don't miss this. If you'd like to know how, if you want me to introduce you to my group of brilliant people, Black people, email me, gfraser at FraserNet.com. Do something. Don't just sit there and scratch your head. There are people making millions and billions. It is not going to last forever because the government is going to get its hands on it and it's going to regulate the hell out of it. Right now, it's the Wild Wild West. Just like the internet at one point in time was the Wild Wild West. Billions have been made from it. And not one Black person I know has earned billions from the internet. Oh, we have a couple of billionaires who shoot a basketball, they can entertain, They can sing, dance, play football, baseball, or basketball, which is the only thing that white people think we can do anyway. But investing, taking risks, oh no, we're very, very, very liberal when it comes to social policy, very conservative when it comes to money. A change is going to come, and we're going to bring that change. I hope I made you angry. Everything begins with words. And from words comes consciousness. All leaders understand this. From words comes consciousness. The Bible says, first there was the Word. And through that Word, we raise consciousness. And from consciousness, hopefully you got excited about something I said. It may have just been one thing. In other words, you got passionate about it. And it is through passion that you will take action. And it is through action, not just words, that we will have change. That's the system for change. Words, consciousness, passion, action, change. Everything is a system. Building wealth is a system. Hang out with people that understand that system. I'm Dr. George Fraser. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm going to make a little offer, if you don't mind. This is special for you, my dear. We put on a conference. It's called the Power Networking Conference. It'll be in Houston, Texas, August the 3rd through the 6th. It'll be 2022. It'll be our first live conference in 3 years. The Power Networking Conference was selected by Forbes Magazine as one of the top 5 conferences in America not to be missed. It is where the black movers and shakers and money makers and wealth is discussed. That's all we talk about is money and business. Money and business. And we talk about wellness. Psychological wellness because we're deeply wounded people, and physical wellness because they're related. But we talk about money and business. It's a place where you can learn, and you will earn, and you will meet powerful people. It'll be packed next year because it'll be the first live one we've been able to do in 3 years. It'll be in Houston, Texas. It's not an inexpensive conference. It sells out every year, but it's not inexpensive. An adult registration for the Power Networking Conference is $1,500. If you can meet one person that could change the trajectory of your life, would that be worth $1,500? The answer would be hell to the yes. We encourage you to bring a student because we should not be meeting, talking about money, and not inviting young people to sit at the feet of masters. That is one of our problems in our culture. There is a disconnection between the elders and young people. A student registration is $800. That's $2,300. You, your kid, or some student, 17 to 25. What I want to do is I want to reduce that price by $1,800. No, $1,700. Is it $1,800? Yeah, and make it $499. I said $499 for you and a student. And a student. The offer is good for 24 hours. You can't get it. You can go to the site, powernetworkingconference.com, www.powernetworkingconference.com, but you will not be able to get this offer. You must email me at gfraser@frasernet.com, gfraser@frasernet.com. In the subject line, put "I'm in." In the body of the email, put your name, full name, and cell number, and I will call you personally, and we will handle our business by credit card over the phone. That's the offer. The offer is good for 24 hours. I do it out of love, and I do it out of respect for you, sir. And I do it out of celebration for the work that you're doing and are committed to. I know I was a little tough tonight. I was just sort of feeling that way. We have to understand these things. We have to change. And we, you and I, those of us who lead, we must lead our people to the promised land. Come to the conference. Take advantage of the offer.
Yeah. And thank you so much. I want to qualify to be a speaker. So we got to figure out what boxes I need to check, because I feel like my intersection.
Email me your resume and stuff. And absolutely, we are selecting speakers as we speak.
Okay, good. Yeah. My intersectionality of wealth and systemic racism, I just don't think people are thinking about it as much. But I would love that. And that I don't, it's so one of the ladies is saying, Tamikia is saying that it was a verbal lashing. I feel like you were fine. I don't know what level of tolerance I have for pain, but I didn't feel, I felt like you were just,
you're right.
Maybe because I watched your videos.
I agree with you, dear. And I qualified it right at the beginning. As Malcolm said, if I threw a rock and it hit you, then it was meant for you. If it didn't apply to you, no pain.
Okay.
If it didn't apply to you, you say, go, 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 of course. But if it applies to you, it was meant for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys, everyone's saying thank you. God bless you, Dr. Fraser. We need to hear it. This was amazing. Very good stuff. You guys, what questions do you have? And while we're waiting for your questions, I had one. You said, I hear this so often, you got to bring something to the table. What are examples of what you can bring to the table? So conversation was one. What else do you think?
Expertise. What are you an expert in? Do you bring that to the table? Whatever that may be. You could be a plumber, a carpenter, an electrician. You can bring something to the table. Don't just come and eat. You're not going to be invited back. Bring something to the table. What is your sphere of expertise? That's what you bring to the table. Do you know a little something? Have you ever read a damn book? Can you hold a conversation about something other than the weather and sports?
Mm-hmm.
Bring knowledge to the table. Bring inspiration to the table.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I want to talk about is selling. Why? So it's so interesting you brought up the selling, because I noticed that too, being in finance, because when I try to recruit and train people, that's one of the first things that they said. But I read a book called Black Fortunes about the first 6 Black millionaires out of slavery by a guy named Shamori, who, do you know him? I feel like you know him personally. Okay. But no. Okay. So what I loved about that book was that before Madam C.J. Walker, there was another lady, I can't remember her name, that did her.
She trained Madam C.J. Walker.
Yes, and she was actually from Peoria, which is where I went to university.
Right.
Yeah, and people were selling, Black folks were selling door to door. People were selling. Where do you think that? Where did that fear come from? Because it wasn't always. So when did it start, you think, or what brought it about?
That's a deep question. I think this is a personal opinion.
Uh-huh.
I think Black people got lazy. You notice there's certain things that Black people refuse to do. Oh, we don't be cleaning houses anymore in hotel rooms. That's all Hispanic now. We damn sure don't pick no cotton. We do very little farming. There's certain things we just won't do. Selling seems to be that. And I say, and I said it in this conversation, many of us cannot handle rejection, cannot handle no. We fear that. It has something to do with our esteem. We take it personally. And really, you shouldn't take it personally. In fact, I love selling. I eat no as vitamins. In fact, I prefer that you tell me no first. All that does is inspires me. It just means that you need more information. You're not rejecting me. So it's mindset. Where did I get this from? I got this from my father, incredible salesman. So it has to be modeled for us. People have to bring us into it. And we need to learn the skills of selling, because we're always selling something. We're selling ourselves. We're selling our, our visions. We're selling our beliefs. We're always in a sales mode. So something we need to do. That's one of the things we cover at the Power Networking Conference, selling. I mean, it's basic. Nothing moves in America until something is sold. The whole capitalistic society is based on buying and selling. It's mindset, it's training, it's modeling. Mm-hmm. Both of my sons are salesmen, and they are really good. Really good.
Absolutely. All right. Anybody else have any questions? I love that you also were saying tithe to yourself first. And I feel like you really prioritizing the conversation of making sure you're okay first before you give anything away. I've seen people do the opposite. I've seen people who can't save for themselves, but they're tithing. What do you think is going on there? Are they trying to buy their way somewhere? I'm just kidding. I'm teasing.
Now, you know the damn answer to that question. Of course. Of course. And they have it backwards. Take care of you first. This is basic survival skills. And then what's left over after you invest in you and your family and your future first, you divvy that up to things and causes that are important to you. After, not before. You pay 10% to you first.
Why do you feel like people aren't doing that? Because it seems like common sense. And I have heard friends, I do have friends who are other religions, that they absolutely, they don't even expect anything from a person who's building their wealth. They don't even expect it. They're like, no, you don't have enough to give yet. Focus on building your wealth. But there's also an understanding that at some point they're going to be financially okay. In the Black community, unfortunately, there's no understanding that at some point you're going to be financially okay, because you might not. You still might be chugging along on a scale of 5 out of 1 to 10. So what do you think?
We are very spiritual people. We are the most morally grounded and spiritually rooted people on freaking earth. And so we believe in that. We believe that is where we need to end up. In the by and by, our heaven can be there. I say, your first heaven is here. Your first responsibility is here. Your first responsibility is making heaven for your children. Everything we do for our children, just as everything our parents did, they did for us. That's your first responsibility. So it's perspective, it's point of view, it's training, darling, it's training. There's no one speaking this into our people. You are, I am, there are others like you and me. We understand, we get it. So you have to use your God-given power, your beauty, your skills, everything that you have to affect and influence our people. We are out of our natural minds. We understand why.
Yes.
We operate out of fear and scarcity. We understand why. We should have been fearful, and we had scarcity. So we play our cards very close to the chest. So I know me talking crypto, people are listening to me talking crypto, this Negro's crazy. I don't know about crypto. Well, what's going to happen with that? So we are risk adverse. So that will change if you keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. If I keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing, more and more of us are teaching financial education, financial literacy on social media. Thank God for the pandemic. It made learning this way like awesome.
Absolutely.
It's going to change. It's just going to take time, but we have to talk straight, no chaser, darling. Don't paint a rosy picture. Right? It's not rosy. That's BS. All the statistics say we are in deep trouble. To be honest, straight, no chaser. Keep it real, because that's what it is. You're not exaggerating. You're not making anything up. We have to be tough on our people, and we have to give them a verbal lashing at times. We're talking about the most important thing in their life. Money.
Yeah.
Let me say it a different way. When we finish pontificating ad nauseum about our issues, somebody's got to write a check.
Every time. Speaking of which, now I'm in this world of activism, right? And one of the things that I've been noticing is that activists, especially the really educated Black folks like Harvard, Yale, really, really smart, they're anti-capitalism. And I'm trying not to judge, but what do you think of that space where, because they're upset with capitalism, because they know that it was built off of our backs, and that at the end of the day, we're still the ones that are creating that. Like you said, we're the spenders, we're the bodies in the prisons that are privately held, and everyone else is financially benefiting, except us. So what do you think of that like dislike of capitalism? Have you heard of that, by the way?
I just had a conversation. I just had right before I came with you. I was doing my weekly clubhouse. We were talking about that, and someone brought up the same thing and asked me, did I think capitalism can work? I said, yes, I think capitalism could work. This capitalism, which is greedy capitalism based on greed, this can't work. No, this can't last but so long, right? Now, because of the nature of Black people, who are morally grounded, spiritually rooted, empathetic, we can make capitalism work because we can turn it into compassionate capitalism.
Absolutely.
I don't know of another economic system that works better. Now, you can move to socialism. We damn sure not going to move to communism. Right? Where we pay high taxes. You go to Europe, very high taxes, but the government takes care of everything. But you pay the taxes in the United Kingdom are very, very high, but it's socialistic.
Yeah.
And your health care and your public education and all those things are substantially lower. I like this form of capitalism, but it has to turn into a capitalism that is fairer, that provides more opportunity for us to excel economically.
Right.
There are a number of things that needs to be done to it. So I would call it compassionate capitalism. There is a broader spread of wealth based on effort.
Absolutely.
When you look at what has happened to the rich, even during the pandemic, and what has happened to the poor, even during the pandemic, that gap is huge. That's based on taxes, based on ways that they can avoid taxes, all kinds of tricks that are in the books that are to their benefit, that increases their wealth geometrically, even in the of times.
Yeah.
There's something that has to be fixed.
Yeah. Now, what do you also think about? I have two last questions and then I'll let you go. What do you think about people being money motivated? Because I feel like there's something that we're taught where we kind of frown upon people who are money motivated. Like I remember people telling me sometimes, oh my God, all you do is talk about money. And I'm like,
okay. No, but like everything in moderation.
mm-hmm.
Of course you should be talking about money. In fact, if I had to put a percentage on it, I would say at least 25% of the time. Because every aspect of your life, every aspect of our lives is intersected by money, is impacted by money. So yes, but you don't want to be talking about money 50, 60, 70% of the time. No. So
And what do you think about?
Whatever's right for you. Are you married?
Yes.
Yeah. How long have you been married?
It'll be 10 years on the 25th.
Children?
No. And I was going to ask you about that too, because there are a lot of people with no children. So I want to talk about how we can give back and what you see there, because it's almost like there's this world that the aunties and the uncles are supposed to be like singular, whereas we could be the power that really uplifts the community if we start getting activated to create wealth. So no babies intentionally.
No, all right. No, that's cool. You know, whatever your vote. I mean, children, not for everybody, right? It's not for everybody. So whatever makes you two happy, that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
But they're assets that we need to be starting our children with at a very young age. So we can fix the habits of our children by modeling the habits that we want them to have and by investing in selected assets for children. I think we should put our children to work. I think my two sons had a job in my business. Even when I didn't have a business, I created a business and put them to work.
Mm-hmm.
Paid them minimum wage, but I just wanted them so that they would have some money, less than minimum wage, to be honest with you. Take out the garbage. That was their job. Rake the leaves. They had a job. They had responsibility. They got paid for it. I set up a little LLC, little company, and I put them on the board. I mean, this is stuff we do. You do these things to introduce them to money and how it works and how hard it is to get and how responsible you need to become in spending this money you work so hard for.
Absolutely.
So there are ways we can do it. We just need to be educated about it. But you can't do it. You can't teach your children that which you do not know.
Mm-hmm.
That requires research. That requires reading. That requires being interested in money. And that's why you have to talk about it. And as I said, that's one of the bad habits we have. We don't talk about money. We really don't. We need to.
Absolutely.
Well, we didn't lose too many people.
We didn't lose any. It got bigger. It got bigger.
Come to the conference, y'all.
Absolutely.
What you got was an hors d'oeuvre tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even a meal. This is just an hors d'oeuvre. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, you'll know a lot of the stars that'll be there. Dr. Boyce Watkins, you may know Dr. Boyce Watkins.
Mm-hmm.
Damon John. I mean, go to the website. You'll see the pictures.
Yeah.
I don't want to start dropping names, but it's the movers, shakers, and decision makers in the world of business and money and psychological healing and wellness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And I'm going to start my petition now to be a speaker for 2023. All right. Thank you so much.
Who knows?
We'll see. We'll see. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Fraser. You are an absolute delight. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity and your spirit of wealth. I just, oh my God, I'm so overjoyed with you and impressed. And I know you're changing lives because you changed mine when I first heard you too. So thank you. You guys, you have all of his information. The conference is amazing. I know that everyone in our series is not just Black. We have a lot of great allies. The conference is for everyone. I know that for a fact. We don't have spaces that are just Black, y'all. We're in America.
It's illegal. It's illegal. It's really illegal.
And also
about that.
And also, we wouldn't do that. We're just not the people that do that. So, and there's going to be amazing people that you guys can meet. I think it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited for it already. Someone was saying that Texas is crazy with COVID. Y'all just, what's going to happen if they stay crazy with COVID?
They're talking next August.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be fine. I think between the increased vaccination rate, I think will bring some sanity to the governor. And through federal regulations, quite frankly, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah,
throwing the dice. If not, we'll go back to a virtual. But I'm not going to do anything stupid. I'm not going to put out people at risk.
Mm-hmm.
And the hotels will have their regulations that we will have to abide by as well. And by the way, just one other thing, just understand that I don't hate white people.
Nobody thinks that.
Right? You don't have to hate white people to love yourself. I love me and Black people. That's what I love. And there's some incredible white folks. You'll meet them at the conference who understand it the way we understand it. They're doing everything they can to love and to serve. So it's not about that. This is not racist stuff. This is just practical. Who you want to do this for you? I think the best people to do this for us is us. Because we can, and we will, and we must.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, dear.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Oh, everyone, please make sure to get on our social media, whether it's at BWM Series or find us on Facebook with Black Wealth Matters Educational Series. And please, I put a picture of you, Dr. Fraser. Dr. Fraser, you're not on Instagram, huh?
Yeah, I am.
I didn't see you. What are you?
I'm on Instagram, George Fraser. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook, the 5 major platforms.
Oh, okay. I see you.
Yeah.
I didn't know this was you. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. I'm going to tag you and everything. Thank you so much. You guys have a good one. We're getting off now.
Take care. Great company. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, now. Let's
All right.
Crossing county lines just to make my name in the city. Took everything, put it on the line, cause I never break or back down. One shot is do or die.
Welcome to the bottom of the bottom. Me and Skin is solemn. If I saw him and I had to get him, yeah, I finally got him. Gonna boost and mix up the solution. I am such a problem. Crazy goon and gone up that pollution with a group of goblins, super choppers, and they hoot and holler when we flipping dollars, suits and partners. But if you started, we gon' finish it. Welcome to the wild side. You know what the business.
I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I reign on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped.
and agility. Money.
The music is so cool.
Put your hands up, everybody knows that. Don't hold back, got you on go jack. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Party on replay, party on replay.
Welcome to the bottom of the bottom. Me and Steven Solomon. If I saw him and I had to get him, yeah, I probably got him. Corner boost to mix up the solution. I am such a problem. Crazy goon and gone up that pollution with a group of goblins, super choppers, and they hoot and holler when we slipping dollars, losing partners. But if you started, we gon' finish it. Welcome to the wild side. You know what the business is.
Been running fast, crossing county lines just to make my name in the city. Took everything, put it on the line, cause I never break or back down. One shot is do or die.
The music is so cool.
I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm a boss, I'm a I am a king on the throne and I'm running the kingdom with all my ability, using my strength and agility. Money.
Put your hands up, everybody knows that. Don't hold back, got you on go jack. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Party on replay, party on replay.
Been running fast, crossing county lines just to make my name in the city. Took everything, put it on the line, cause I never break or back down. One shot is do or die.
Welcome to the bottom of the bottom. Me and Steven Solomon. If I saw him and I had to get him, yeah, I probably got him. Corner boost to mix up the solution. I am such a problem. Crazy goon and gone up that pollution with a group of goblins, super choppers, and they hoot and holler when we slipping dollars, losing partners. But if you started, we gon' finish it. Welcome to the wild side. You know what the business is.
Put your hands up, everybody knows that. Don't hold back, got you on go jack. Go DJ, that's my DJ. Party on replay, party on replay.
I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm a boss, I'm a I am a king on the throne and I'm running the kingdom with all my ability, using my strength and agility. Money.
The music is so cool.
Welcome to the bottom of the bottom. Me and Steven Solomon. If I saw him and I had to get him, yeah, I probably got him. Corner boost to mix up the solution. I am such a problem. Crazy goon and gone up that pollution with a group of goblins, super choppers, and they hoot and holler when we slipping dollars, losing partners. But if you started, we gon' finish it. Welcome to the wild side. You know what the business is. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I cannot be stopped. I'm a boss, I'm a king, I'm right on the top. and agility, money, power.